Everyone has a top button item this election cycle. For some, it's the economy. For others, it's national defense or healthcare. For Congressman Tony Gonzales, it's the U.S. southern border and immigration. Representative Gonzales is responsible for Texas's 23rd district, a district that contains over 800 miles of the U.S.-Mexico border, and by many accounts, ground zero for the immigration policy battle. Representative Gonzales is also a retired Navy Master Chief Petty Officer where he served over 20 years as a cryptologist. The congressman broke down the border debate from his Texas perspective, including the effects of current policy on both domestic and international security. With the election coming, we discussed the importance of battleground states and why Texas is important from the top of the ticket to the bottom. Finally, we covered leadership, how veterans are making an impact through the halls of Congress, and why action is critical in a job in which you can do as much or as little as you want. Check out our conversation, then head over to our YouTube channel or your favorite podcast platform to catch all of our coverage of the 2024 election cycle. Representative Gonzales, welcome to the Jedburgh podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for coming to my office.
Well, thanks for hosting us because everybody's back. Now, we were here yesterday talking to Representative McCormick. Came in today, and it's a completely different world. You've got a lot going on. And to spend some time with us is much appreciated.
Totally. Yeah, happy to do it.
You have the district that is the border. It is our southern border. So Texas 23 is about 800 miles of that southern.
823 miles.
Okay, we got to be exact. I don't want the fact checkers to come after me.
That's right.
Right now, going into this 2024 election, the presidential election obviously dominates the headlines. Of course. But it has effect on the down ballot. 100%. Almost every state has become a swing state. In the last couple of weeks, we've seen polls that have come out that say Texas is tightening. Texas over the last 20 plus years has historically been pretty heavily Republican. Now people are saying, well, maybe within the margin of error. How come Texas is becoming a swing state at this point?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I think across the country, people are mad. I mean, they're mad, and they're not wrong. And that's what I also worry too is, and I'll get directly to the question, answer directly to the question. But let's fast forward a little bit. Let's get to January and the inauguration. There's going to be it's going to be a tight race on the presidential level. It's going to be a tight race at the Senate. It's going to be a tight race here in the House for who controls the House and the Senate. And so let's fast forward to January. President Trump wins, half the population is going to go insane, and they're going to be foaming at the mouth. If Kamala Harris wins, half the population is going to be foaming at the mouth and going insane. And so these are the dangers, and they're, they're mad for all these different reasons. They're mad because they can't, the cost of goods have gone up. They don't feel safe in their communities. They're feeling further and further behind. You're just like, wait a second, I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do, but somehow I'm in the back of this line. And then, not to mention, just the technology, the way people are consuming information is way different, right? It's not the CBS, NBC, ABC anymore. It's podcasts. It's
Jedburgh podcast.
Yeah, it totally is, man. I mean,
YouTube.
It really is. I mean, I hosted Elon Musk about a year ago now. Later in this month, it'll be a year ago. I hosted Elon at the border, and he's literally on his phone, just going, "All right, Tony, tell me what's happening at the border." And I gave it to him raw, unfiltered. And I think that's what people are craving for. And so the reason it's going to be close is I think more and more people are engaged and they're going, wait a second, what are you doing to better my life? And it's the right question we need to have. And I think, if Republicans are going to be successful, we have to be talking about solutions, not just problems. Like, I know the problems. Don't tell me about the problems. The border is certainly an issue, 100%. I have most of the border. I see it nonstop. Families are turned upside down. They're sick to their stomach. But also around the world, I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous as I can recall. You got Russia. On the march. You got China on the march. You got Iran literally launching against Israel and some of these allies. I just came back from the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony for the 13 families that had their loved ones killed at Abbey Gate. It sucked. I mean, it sucked. You're sitting there. You never want your name called. And just those kind of emotions, like everyone is just mad. And I think that's what's going to make it such a close race.
Yeah. So you brought up solutions.
Sure.
When we look at the situations you brought up, China, Iran, Russia, Russia's still in Ukraine. Okay, almost 3 years.
Yes.
And then you look at the border, open border policies.
Yep.
I can't help but think about how the rest of the world sees us.
Yeah.
So as we go into this election, as you have your race, how do we present ourselves to the rest of the world? What are the solutions where someone's going to stand up and say, look, world, we're not weak.
Yeah.
We have a strong border.
Yes.
We are strong militarily overseas. But most importantly, diplomatically, here's what we're going to do. What do we do?
I think, one, you always have to take care of home base. If home base isn't taken care of, how can you say I'm going to go help your country? Because if you're weak or perceived as weak at home, then that's when your adversaries are going to take advantage of it, which we're seeing right now. And so this border crisis is very real. I mean, it's very real, mainly because, one, we don't know who's coming into our country. There's people from all over the world, and they're breaking the law. Like, they do not qualify for asylum. I fought very hard. Hey, look, if you're fleeing political and religious persecution, we should absolutely be that country. I fought hard for our Afghan allies that were fighting alongside us to make sure that we didn't leave them behind to have their heads chopped off by the Taliban. Like, I worked very hard on that. But what we're seeing, that is not what we're seeing. I mean, it's pure chaos. I mean, it's just lawlessness, really. So we got to get our border under control. The way you do that, it's pretty simple, is if somebody comes over illegally, they immediately get their day in court, immediately. And you thumbs up or thumbs down. You know, if you qualify for asylum, we're here to welcome you. If you don't, which over 90% of them don't, you immediately get deported. That takes care of home base, and that keeps us safe. Abroad, I actually traveled to Ukraine maybe about eight, nine weeks ago, so right around there. Met with Zelensky in Ukraine. That conflict is very interesting because it's a completely different war. I mean, I met with some young kids that so in Ukraine, the draft, it's 25 is the number. It's not 18. They've deliberately protected their younger generation. And so what's happening is you got older people fighting this war. So in many cases, they're removed from the war. And the young kids, they're fighting these drone wars, basically. So they're playing Call of Duty, but for real. So, I mean, we just have to lead. We just have to lead with sensible saying, hey, look, our adversaries need to know, like, we're not going to go around punching people in the face, but if they come looking for a fight, they're going to get a bloody nose. And our allies need to know we're always going to have their back. But I would say more important than all that, Americans have to know you are important to us. Your life is important to us. Being safe, education, healthcare, just all these different things. Take care of our vets. I mean, the list goes on and on. More and more Americans, I think, are feeling as if, like, hey, man, what about me?
You spent a career in the Navy as a cryptologist.
Yeah.
Cool job.
It was good. It was great. Yeah.
And you continue your service now in Congress. You learned a tremendous amount of lessons as you rose to the rank of Master Chief. So, I mean, senior most rank in the Navy. I know my enlisted rank.
Yeah.
Even though the
Navy ranks are tough, man.
You down, right? Yeah. Army, we got it easy. Yeah. But you take an incredible amount of lessons from those. Prior to just when the 118th Congress started a couple of years ago, I had a chance to come down here and sit down with Mike Waltz.
Sure.
Your counterpart.
Yeah, great guy.
Fellow Green Beret.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot about the excitement behind Congress and having veterans serve.
Yeah.
What does being in Congress as a veteran bring in terms of perspective to the entire 435 members of the House?
I'll go even a step further. Being an enlisted, I mean, I'm the which is rare. I mean, guys don't go from being a Master Chief or Chief Master Sergeant or any of you don't transition to Congress. Usually not that's how it goes. But I view it through the lens of, okay, yes, we need bombs and BBs, but what about my people, and what about my housing? What about my healthcare? What about my families? Like, I always look at the lens through the family. I've got 6 kids. I remember my oldest daughter when I just left the Michael Murphy and we were going to Pensacola, and she goes, Dad, can I graduate here? She was a freshman. She goes, I've been to school in 5 different states. And I start doing the math. I'm like, this poor kid had followed me around throughout my career. And so I think that's part of it too. Above all that, so that is kind of innate with you. It's like, how do I take care of my people? But above all that is, as a Master Chief, like, it isn't my job to be the cheerleader of the organization. It's my job to check the organization, to say, and you know what? It's okay to be wrong. Like, as a leader, you're going to get things wrong. You're going to go, whoa, we're going down the wrong route. Like, let's stop. Let's reevaluate. Maybe we got more information and you reanalyze it, and then you go in a different direction. the frustrating part is Congress, even though they know they're going down the wrong route, they keep going down the wrong route. So I'd say it's very unique, and I think why we need more veterans that can bring different perspective. It's not about getting reelected. It's not about being popular. It's not about any of that. It's really about delivering. And last thing I'd say is, what I love about being a member of Congress, there's 435 of us, which is kind of frustrating. You feel like we're all different. We're all completely different than the next. But the best thing about being a member of Congress is you can do as much or as little as you want to. Literally can. I mean, earlier, I'll give you an example. It's not veteran related, but the National Organization for Missing Children and Exploited Children. You remember John Walsh, the guy from America's Most Wanted? Well, he started this program, and I'm like, I want to meet with her. I want to meet with the CEO. And that wasn't on my calendar. I mean, you literally can do as much or as little as you want to. And we need more people that they're not here for a paycheck. They're not here for fame. They just love our country.
I spent some time with the Sergeant Major of the Army.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major Mike Weimer.
Yeah.
And he had this phrase. Mm-hmm. He said, I've been to combat, maybe more than most.
Sure.
I've never been to war. The next conflict that we have has the potential to be war. You mentioned Ukraine.
Yep.
And what you're seeing out of there. Yeah. Even people who've been to Iraq and Afghanistan coming out going,
it's different.
Nothing.
It's different.
As we look forward to a potential conflict with China, Russia, or Iran.
Sure. Yeah.
Is America ready? And can we mobilize?
I think we will get ready. I would say, but I don't think we're ready. I think one, I would never challenge the United States. I mean, we're just a mean, ugly, nasty people, man, and we're stubborn and like we're just a tough people. Having been around the world and seen other places, like you don't want to mess with us. Like we will literally go into your country, topple you, like we'll spin it a different way, but like we don't want to mess with us. And we fought a lot of conflicts. But I'd say this is I do firmly believe we're the greatest. We have the greatest military in the world, no doubt. I mean, I go around the country and I see these young men and women, and you're way smarter than I was. Like you got your stuff together. These people, as a member of Congress, I get to give nominations for those that are going to the academies. Man, some of these folks, they're just going like, man, you're like the perfect American. And so from that lens, we will get ready. Whatever gets thrown our way, what I love about this country, we will adapt, we will overcome, we will find a way to get to victory. But that's not fair to find our way. We should already be there. And so one of the things you mentioned I was a cryptologist. And I remember when I first went to go enlist, I take my ASVAB score and they're going over my options. And he goes, we can offer you cryptology. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Top secret clearance, national security stuff. I'm like, what is that? I mean, he had to read from a piece of paper, right? And so I think in today's environment, AI is taking things to a new level. Drone warfare is very real. Just look at it, robots. I mean, like we're there. Like, you watch these movies and you read these books, these sci-fi books, like we're there. So we need to win by making sure we're investing on the forefront. And really, last thing I'll say too is sometimes you got to get out of the way. Sometimes you got to let innovation take over. That's what's working in Ukraine. They're forced to go, hey, look, I don't have time. I need a drone today. I need something now. I don't have a 12-month procurement window to go and, and I think back to my time in Afghanistan. When we first went into Afghanistan, I'm dating myself a little bit, but, there's stuff that we needed that we put requests in for. And then we just said, all right, look, man, if you give me $200, I'll go to Radio Shack and I'll build the shit myself. Like, it's just things like that. We just need to be more streamlined to the war fighter. We got to get ready for it.
Last question. Yep. I got to get you back to work.
Yes.
Where's America in 2030?
2030. I think we will always be the leader of the free world. I think we will continue to be the leader of the free world. And the reason I say that, I do a lot of travel. As a member of Congress, I've probably been to 20 countries, met with heads of states. Really big, high-level stuff. Everyone looks up to us. They look, what are we going to do? What are we going to say? They are watching America, what direction we're going. Our adversaries are, our allies are. I think we're going to continue to lead the way, but we need good people to do it. It can't just be people complaining about it, throwing rocks at the TV. got to get off the couch, get in the game, whether that's locally. I'm a firm believer at the lowest level possible, right? Get involved, whether it's your church, whether it's your homeowners association, teaching football, like whatever your thing is, just get involved. And I think veterans are the secret sauce to that, because we offer so much and we're resilient. Like we suck it up, buttercup. Like you're just going to find a way to make it work. We need more of that. We certainly need more of that in Congress, because the place could use a few new some infusion of new young blood.
Well, let's see what this election brings.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time today.
Awesome, brother.
Good luck in the election.
Okay.
Look forward to sitting down with you.
Great. Thanks, man. Right. Okay, good.
American Jedburghs went on to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast, an official program of the Green Beret Foundation. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other long and short form content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow the Jedburgh Podcast and the Green Beret Foundation on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, or Threads. Send your comments and inquiries to fran@jedburghpodcast.com. As former members of Special Operations Forces, the Jedburgh Media Channel and the Green Beret Foundation remain committed to supporting all generations of U.S. Army Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.